Hey reader, welcome to week 5. This week and next week, weeks 5 and 6, we're going to be reading a few chapters from The Tale of Genji by Lady Murasaki Shikibu. Murasaki Shikibu lived in Heian-era Japan pretty much exactly 1,000 years ago, and her novel Tale of Genji, which in its entirety is over 1,000 pages long, has been gaining recognition in the last few decades as the world's first great novel. Even better than that, Lady Murasaki Shikibu has finally been getting the widespread renown that she deserves as the world's first great novelist. Now, she's long been recognized as a genius and an important cultural figure in Japan, but the rest of the world is really just starting to catch up to this, like in the last 75 years. Part of this has to do with translation. Only recently did we get full translations of this novel into other languages. But it also has to do with a prejudice that exists in Western culture, which is to think that we did everything first and we did it the best. So there's a little bit of resistance baked into the system to allow for the fact that a woman writing on the other side of the earth was writing way better than anyone else in Europe at that time, and that she was displaying a level of intelligence, perception, and compassion that was just so far ahead of its time that I feel like we're still kind of catching up to it. Now, Tale of Genji is challenging. Some of its subject matter you're going to find disturbing. But it's not that she was writing something shocking just to get people's attention. It's more that she was putting her intelligence and her perception to work to describe stuff that really does happen in the world, and to give us an opportunity to think through some of these things at a distance rather than living through them ourselves, being able to imagine our way into some of these difficult situations. There are a couple of things that I want you to try and keep in mind as you go into this novel. First of all, the things that the people do and the people say in this novel are not things that Murasaki Shikibu thinks or advocates for. Again, she's smart and she's perceptive. She sees the world and she's able to describe it in accurate, detailed ways. The other thing I want you to try and keep in mind is this notion of compassion. When you think about it, somebody who's really smart and really perceptive can be very intimidating to be around. Not only can they see and understand the world, but they can see kind of into people, understand those people's desires, motivations, fears, the ways that they're honest or dishonest with themselves. It could be kind of intimidating to be around. The reason I think Murasaki Shikibu doesn't come across that way is that third element, compassion, that I mentioned earlier. So somehow she's able to take a look at deeply flawed people or deeply flawed social institutions and to see them clearly for what they are, but to not immediately pass judgment on them, to sort of hold them with an open hand, and to do it in a way that always leaves open the door that the people and those institutions could do better over time. Not that they're going to have some big epiphany, totally change their life, renounce all of their bad ways, and then just do nothing but good moving forward. No, not like that. That over time, people can learn from their mistakes. They can change their ways a little bit. There's a good chance that they're going to backslide and make a similar mistake later on. But if they're self-reflective and if their heart's in the right place, they can see that they've brought harm to themselves or brought harm to the people around them, and they can make slow but hopefully steady improvements over time. This is not a book of heroes. This is not a book of good guys and bad guys. This is a book of flawed people finding their way through the world, making mistakes, and trying to get a little bit better and gain a little bit of wisdom as they do it. There's so much that can be said about this novel, and so much that can be said about its author, Murasaki Shikibu. But really, I just want you to use this week to start getting into the novel, and the writing exercises that I have you doing this week are all about trying to locate things on your first reading that maybe serve as signposts for what's going on in this novel. And I don't just mean like the plot points, what the characters are doing. I mean what Murasaki Shikibu is doing with her novel, what she's showing us, how she's wanting to get us to look at things, or how she's trying to get us to feel about certain things. This can be kind of difficult. Again, I said it's characterized by a kind of open-handedness. She's just showing us these things, not necessarily judging them. And keep in mind that she's, well, don't take this as an insult, but there's a good chance that she's smarter than you, that she's more perceptive than you, and that she's more compassionate than you. I know those things are true about me. But I have felt like spending time with her work has helped me to become just a little bit smarter, maybe even a little bit more perceptive, but best of all, a little bit more compassionate about how I respond when I see someone else making a mistake. There are a lot of layers in this novel. I've read the chapters that we're going to read for this class, I've read maybe 6 times, and I'm still coming to see things in them that I did not see the first time through. So take your time, give it your full attention, and maybe even feel a little bit grateful that you have a chance to spend some time with the first great novel in the world, and you're being shown a window into a place, again, on the other side of the planet 1,000 years ago. And you have as your guide one of the smartest, most perceptive, and most compassionate people that you could ever imagine. In fact, if I could have a time machine and go anywhere in the past and choose any one person to be my guide for like a week and just show me around and let me see the world as it was then, Murasaki Shikibu might be the person I would choose. She's certainly in the top 3. Yeah. So I feel lucky to have her and have her book with me. And hopefully you will as well. A lot of times students love this one. It's oftentimes their favorite book when we get to the end of the semester and I ask everybody to list their books in order from favorite to least favorite. Taylor Genji oftentimes ends up at the top. At the same time, I have several colleagues that gave up on trying to teach this book because some of what it deals with, they just were too uncomfortable with it. They're like, I don't know how to have this conversation. I don't know how to teach this book, so I'm just going to go do something else. We'll see how it goes for you. Keep an open mind, and good luck out there.